Hey, good morning, guys. It's Mike Garrett with CrossFit Goldsboro. I got a special guest today. We're going to go over some really cool stuff. So if you get a chance, you definitely want to dial in for this podcast. This one's going to get shared multiple different times. But I got a special guest with me today, Daniel Skidmore. We've been friends for almost a decade, and pretty cool stuff. We're going to go through anything from GoRucks, ruck wraps. We're going to go over some different training. Daniel Skidmore just had two of his athletes complete 200-mile race as of yesterday. So we're going to dive into some really cool stuff today. First introduction, Daniel Skidmore. Who you are, man? What do you do?
Hey, well, Mike, thanks for having me on. So, again, Dan Skidmore, been in the gym scene doing CrossFit for like the last 10 years. Started, I was actually out of high school, joined the military, went in the Air Force, and went straight in to try to be a combat controller, right? Combat controllers in the Air Force are the guys that work everything from the air to ground, okay? That's air traffic control, telling aircraft where to drop their packages, people, right, supplies, and then dropping bombs, right? So warheads on foreheads, and that was our primary function. So we attach primarily to Army Special Forces and Navy SEAL teams, and then do some unilateral work as well. But I did that, so about a 2-year training pipeline. We're good to be a FAA certified air traffic controller, and then go to survival school, SEER, all the getting beat up for information kind of thing, and then jumping out of planes, and then go basically learn how to do your job, right? Land aircraft on dirt runways and employ at a moment's notice by any means. And then follow on to that, going to dive school and free fall school, so jumping out of planes at 24,000 feet or higher and or lower. And then after the 2 years of training, got stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, at the 21st STS, and then stayed there for the rest of the time I was in. While I was there, I hit 2 deployments to Afghanistan, 2 to Africa, 1 to Africa, hit a couple different countries there, went down, ran all the air traffic control down in Haiti when that earthquake happened. And then finished out with 2 trips to Iraq. So had a really fun time while I was in. Got a lot of different experiences, worked with some of the best dudes I've ever met, and had a really cool time. And then concurrently with that, was training to be a CrossFit competitive athlete, right?
Yeah, man.
And so that's kind of where we met. Started, I'd already been a regional athlete from 2011, 12, and then we met in 13 down there in Charleston, South Carolina. And then kind of was in a operator training course to go from one unit to another unit, and so all of my time was spent just like really dialing in high level military training. And so into 14, the night before our regional competition, I was at free fall jump master school, like spotting guys out of at night.
Wow.
Combat equipment, looking out of the back of an airplane, telling guys when they could drop from 15,000 feet. And
that's on a Friday turnaround CrossFit regional competition Saturday.
I think that was, it would have been a Thursday night, right? I probably got, and then like our graduation, doing a shot just cause, and then rolling down to wherever it was, Virginia. And,
with George Mason that year, right? I think.
I think so.
So you stayed in a camper?
It definitely was, yeah. So I took my Airstream camper down, and that was kind of the stick then, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, we could barbecue and do kind of old school
sweet potatoes on the grill with bacon.
Dude, that was great, right?
That was incredible times.
And everything was right there. Well, then 15, there was some craziness happening over in Iraq, and they called up and they were like, "Hey, we need to go throw down on these dudes," and so the job called. I got pushed out, and so I did my 2015 Open in Iraq, and then that was also the same year that they went to the Ultra Regionals, or the Mega. I forget what they even called it. Super. So you had to be an absolute monster, right? And so I'm not an open athlete. I was a strength athlete at the time, and kind of geared towards that because that's what the regional workout were. And so I wasn't good enough to qualify for regionals, but man, I was doing my job and crushing it and having a really good time. And so really just focused primarily on the work stuff. And then in that couple months span, spent about 7 months there. And then transitioned out, So I transitioned out of the Air Force. I was done, did 9 years, decided not to re-enlist just to focus on my daughter and building out business stuff. And then, so we had already had CrossFit Fort Bragg. Went through a little regime change with that, as a lot of gyms do.
Yeah.
And then, kind of broke away from the CrossFit affiliate side. Still doing, constantly varied, high intensity stuff. Keeping our a similar program, but we learned a lot. And so I was deployed with a dude, Chris McNamara, who has now made himself a great name in the fitness, North Carolina.
Great human being.
Excellent dude. So
smart as all get out.
Oh my goodness, dude, so smart. And I was really lucky to be with Chris in Iraq those last couple times, and we were bunk mates. We stayed in the same little trailer together, and so training in a dirty car garage, right, with kicking the scorpions out of the shed so we could hit our heavy sets of squats. And so we were both kind of learning a lot. I got back, he was still in, and we transitioned, and so instead of staying as a CrossFit gym, we took on Evolution Athletics, right? And so concurrently we started these 2 spots, Evolution Athletics East and then Evolution Athletics West, which is down Pinehurst. And if you look at Fort Bragg, it's basically a big circle, right? And where and people just live on the periphery. And so we took both sides, and it jived really, really well. And
business partnership started in Iraq.
That's right.
Bunk mates,
absolutely,
special force guys
on a combat deployment.
You're going to take the east side of Fort Bragg. He's going to take the west side of it.
So that the idea for it actually,
co-brand, co-market.
We didn't really hatch the idea, but we built the trust there, right?
Yeah.
So I trust Chris with my life, and so I trust him. Hey man, let's make good decisions and be supportive of what each other are trying to do.
Yeah.
And so we didn't ever have this breakthrough aha moment while we were in Iraq. But we built, just like anywhere, right? You have a gym. People are coming in, want to see what you guys are doing, see what it's all about. So on our deployment, we'd have dudes coming in and be running classes, not like a structured class, but guys want to get fit because they got time. And so when we came back, we really restructured it. And I pitched this idea because I got tons of these ideas.
Yeah,
right?
entrepreneurs do. You got to.
And so,
got to put some in the bucket.
That's right. And a great opportunity, and we kind of mutually supportive and not competitive at all because we're still 40 minutes away from each other. But to cover both sides of Fort Bragg, which is very obviously high military centric. And then we even took on different personalities at the gym, so it's a completely different demographic from the east side to the people who live on the west side. So it's very interesting how that kind of went, and it was almost cool. People called it the light side and the dark side. It's so cool.
And what'd you guys offer, man? Because I know typical CrossFit gyms just have adult group fitness classes.
Right.
You guys were way more than that. What did you guys have at your shop?
So, we did daily classes, and then at about the same time, the Hybrid Athlete Network was coming online. So the guys out of Wilmington setting up 24-hour access to a gym, and which has become the Hybrid Athlete Foundation. We were actually one of the first gyms to get in with that, with Albert Steed. And at the time, so as I transitioned out of the military, I was very into strongman, right? And I was sitting right under 200 pounds, just throwing around odd objects and seeing how strong we could get, right? And for me, that wasn't ever that awesomely strong, but it's just fun, right? Because strongman is like CrossFit for men. And so it was different, and the way that we trained it was similar to what we were using, just different implements. And so mine was more so east side had more strongman, powerlifting, and then CrossFit focused, while west side was more barbell, Olympic weightlifting focused. Since then, it's still continued to evolve, but besides offering the classes, 24-hour access, all of our remote training athletes, guys coming in, guys and girls, and surprisingly a lot of females hitting us up and saying, hey, we're getting ready to go to Ranger School, or we're trying to go to the Special Forces Assessment and Selection, or the Q course, and trusting us to kind of guide them along the way, as it's an endurance thing, and we in special operations have to have that a good blend, or should have a good blend of strength, but also, hey, you can go forever, right? We need to be able to drop everything and get from point A to 50 miles away at a moment's notice, right? And carry your 100 pounds of gear, right?
Incredible. Yeah, that is a ton of knowledge right there, man. That is really, really cool. And I think we can go back and recap and look at a lot of what you just shared. But talk about a credibility. If you got a young man or a young woman who's looking to go into Special Forces, I don't know if it gets any better than the Skidmore. You talk about the training that it comes to be a combat controller. You literally had to do 2 years of training in all aspects of Special Forces to get there. You know what I mean? You're doing dive, you're doing scuba, you're doing SEERS. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. A lot of people dream to do that. Mm-hmm. What made you decide, like, hey, this is what I'm going to go do? You said after high school, bam, you knew, like, this is what you wanted to be. Why? What motivated you to do that?
Well, so my dad he's an electrical engineer, and he's in Marines and Army and how they live, and and the technicality of being an air traffic controller really appealed to me because hey, I can. And what my thought process at the time was, well, if this doesn't work out, or afterwards, I can sit and work at a tower and make good money doing that because it's a high demand, stressful job. And then the other side was, hey, I was an athlete, right, growing up, and so I wanted to be in the best shape that I could, and use that fitness to really excel in the job, so you can go further and you can really last longer on whatever mission you're doing. And so that was my priority. Is I was like the meathead on the team of like, hey, I'm in the gym, right? I'm trying to train so that the physical aspect never holds us back, right? If we need to walk up over this mountain to hit a target, by the time I get there, I'm not spent, right? And then we can be more mission capable, and that's the whole idea behind having a high level of fitness, is that you can do more and then recover faster for the next target.
Great. That's incredible knowledge. I always tell people, like, oh man, Skidmore, your friend, man, it looks like Captain America. I'm like, he looks like Captain America that just got done kicking Thor's ass.
That's America's ass right there.
Yeah, that's America's ass. That is Daniel Skidmore right there. I think that's great, man. That's great information, and thanks for sharing your background, with being Special Forces and your military experience. And then just take us to 2019. What do we got going on? I know we're leading GoRucks on the weekend.
Sure.
We're moving.
So I left off at like 2015, right, is the transition out of the military and into the commercial civilian space, and deciding what we're going to do on a daily basis. Well, that to me looked like coaching, right, and building up the gym and building up the gym business, right? And so in 2013, I bought a piece of commercial real estate right outside the Manchester Road gate in Spring Lake, North Carolina.
Smart move.
Well, we actually got evicted from our other space because the guy, basically, we had, chicks with no shirts on running through the parking lot and loud music because it was a CrossFit gym, right?
Yeah.
And
who doesn't like that? I have no clue.
I mean, I don't see...
I don't see the problem there.
These two guys had a huge issue with it, right? And they complained enough to the guy that was the landlord at the time to get us evicted. And so we... with 100 and some members, I was like, well, hey, what are we going to do? This other piece of real estate was for sale. It was actually less than what we were paying for rent.
Perfect.
I was an idiot in the business mindset to begin with, and I was like, oh yeah, well, this
no-brainer.
This is a no-brainer, right? I have no brains to start with. This is an easy start. So transitioned to this old warehouse and turned it into a gym, right, with bunch of garage bay doors, and had our own thing. Well, soon after that, I realized that, well, hey, we want more than just a gym, right? So 2015 kind of built out this idea of having mutually supportive other businesses. So inside the gym space, hey, what else do I love, right? Well, I love coffee. I love to drink coffee. That's like my fourth food group. And so I want a coffee shop, right? I love doing yoga because I got the high intensity portion of my life, and I want the low intensity relaxation, right? Connect mindfulness, mind, body, and that can kind of balance you out. And so through the stroke of luck, met up with some good people that do a little bit of everything, and then we had this plan, and it's come to fruition now, is building out what we call the collective, right? Yep. So the collective in Spring Lake is a group of veteran-owned small businesses that are working to basically improve our foxhole, right? So Vietnam, as people like to call it, 10 years ago wasn't really a nice spot, right? And I've seen it grow up over the last 10 years of living there. And in our community, wherever you're at, you're always trying to improve your environment, right?
Yep.
And so that's really what Izdihar and I have been trying to do. So Izdi's my wife. She's amazing, super smart, and really the second brain to the business, because I got all these ideas, but then don't know how to put them all down on paper and like do all the legality stuff.
Yeah, you've got to do that. You got to do that.
And so basically made relationships with some amazing folks, and turned this building into a haven for health and wellness oriented people.
That's great. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
I think, we talked about that, just a CrossFit gym, just offering CrossFit and CrossFit only.
Sure.
There's way more to health and fitness.
Right, absolutely.
Like I spoke with someone who's been into the CrossFit affiliate scene for 7 years and told me they just started doing personal training one-on-one.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, man. There's gyms and fitness studios that are set up for one-on-one only.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's individual attention is needed in specific movements, or, if we're lacking in some areas, or if you come to me and your goal is to run 200 miles, if it's to win a national state weightlifting title, you're not going to be able to get all of that in a group setting with 25 other individuals. What I mean? You're going to need some attention, some programming that's specific to that. And we'll dive into some of that here. It all be veteran owned. Wow. That is really, really neat. I think, you see my CrossFit goals for a setup. We got a massage therapist. We got yoga. We got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu starting January 1. Yep. So there is more, and it's one of those things. You got to, when the body is capable of doing more, I want to see people go out there, execute it, push yourself outside their comfort zone. Because, hey, for CrossFit, we've been doing it for a decade. You know what I mean? Right. It's one of those things, like you said, with strongman, you're capable of doing it. Why in the heck would you not? You know what I mean?
Sure.
You said there's CrossFit for men. Yeah. That is some neat stuff.
Well, and I want to set up everything around that environment to help everybody holistically, right? So not just having coffee and yoga, but hey, so we've got a physical therapist, we've got a massage therapist, and people that can look at every little aspect of training or improving your life. Man, like, you need those kind of things to really succeed or take it to the next level, right? You can do any of those things on its own, but if you do more than one, well, then you're taking it to the next level. And so, 100%. And that's at the end of the day, like what we've tried to create. Past that, like my goal. So I said I believe it was 2015. My New Year's resolution was one of them was to positively impact 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we all get into this fitness space, is positively impact people, right? Well,
100%.
What's the way that you do it? If you're a CrossFit gym, it's air squats and getting you off of whatever crack you're currently on with sugar and the diet, and like trying to help people feel better and look better and just improve a little bit every day, right? Well, there's different tools that we can use for that. So 15, I said 1,000 people, right? Well, in CrossFit, you got 100 members. You might see 50 of them on a daily basis if you're lucky. Yeah. And that was kind of a lofty goal, right? And then so really poured ourselves into the gym space and the collective for a solid 2 years. And then one of my buddies who I worked with in the Army, he was a member and at the gym, so he trusted us with his fitness, got in great shape, and then started doing these events. And he was a Cadre for this company called GoRuck. Yeah. And I'd heard of GoRuck maybe 6-8 months before that, and basically like an outsider looking in, like a smoke session, right? Like a boot camp kind of thing. Well, that's not really what it's all about, right? That's a portion of it. And so I started peeling back the layers of the onion and looking at it. And GoRuck, that I'm now a big part of, is a team building endurance challenge modeled after special operations training, right?
Yeah.
Pretty broad, arching, like, description there, where you can. I've been really lucky to kind of make it my own and So started off, GoRuck, a guy named Jason McCarthy, who's a special forces guy, started this rucksack company, right? Because he saw a bag, wanted to do better, and hey, who doesn't like a sweet backpack?
Yeah,
right? Because we do all of our missions with extra gear. Well, Jason's whole thing was we want a bag that can withstand combat, right? Hold up and look good in the streets of Iraq or the mountains of Afghanistan, but also in the boardroom. So being in New York City or taking it to work and not looking like the most tactical bag you've ever seen with patches and pockets everywhere and looking ridiculous. And so they had this bag, and then they started doing this event, the event side, right? And so basically meeting up, saying, hey guys, I'm going to be at this park. We're going to put you through 12 hours of training, like a special forces guy in special operations would look like. And so for people that have seen like G.I. Jane, right? Rolling around on the beach, doing all your drills, running, carrying logs, doing sandbag stuff, like doing very, very intense exercises over the course of 12 miles or 12 hours, right? Yeah. Well, this is all with a ruck on your back. So rucking is the art of moving with some load on your back. That could be 10 pounds if you're going, if you got a really light weight, not a whole lot of mission there, up to like, maybe 120 pounds if you're in the mountains of Afghanistan and you need to carry everything with you because you're going to sit in an observation post for a couple days, right? Or extended. And so rucking, we do in the military, and it sucks, right? Because the military makes everything suck. But it's just walking or moving out, covering an area of land, getting from point A to point B, and that's how we do our overland movements, basically. Now, the event side, you're basically having a special forces guy, so somebody with years of combat experience, gone through all the training that we have, and we all kind of come at it from different angles, but saying, hey, well, I'm gonna challenge you. Well, I'm gonna force you to come together as a team, overcome all these challenges, and the challenges might look like, hey, we gotta move 2,000 pounds of whatever it is, right? Bricks, sand, ropes, mission essential gear, right? Well, it could be ammunition, and putting you in that environment so that everybody works hard together as a team and then comes together. And it just so happens that it's extremely good for your fitness. And I mean, the rucking is, I truly believe that it's going to become the running of the mid 2020s, right? Because back in the 90s, right, jogging or running was the hot thing, and everybody could do it. Well, people now with the obesity issue, or hey, dad bods, right? If I tell you, hey, go out for a run, you come back and you're like, oh my gosh, my knees are killing me, right? Or I can't even do it anymore. Well, anybody can just walk, right? And so start with nothing. Walk, put a backpack on and carry 5 pounds. Go for an hour, see how far you get. And then you do that 2-3 times a week or more if you have time, right? Ideally more, because we want to train every day, but it's progressive. And so you're putting less strain and less pounding on your joints, your knees, your ankles, your hips, and getting more low intensity training. So it's really time under tension is great, kind of the whole thing behind it.
You get to complete a task. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all
running for me is just a little bit boring now. I've been doing it for a while. Hey, Mike, take this 500 pounds, get it from point A, point B. Love it. You know what I mean? Carry it however you need to. Whatever it takes to get that task completed. Yeah, you're not going to take 500 pounds all at the same time, but all right, 100 pounds at a time. All right, what do we need to get to? Point A to point B. Mile and a half down the road. All right, let's make it happen. Here we go.
And so we do that in a mission-based or a task-based scenario, right? And so if I'm meeting somebody in the park or a group of 20 people, and we say, hey guys, this is our mission for the day. We just had a aircraft go down. We've got a down pilot. We need to find him, get to him, right? Navigate our way in there, and then solve whatever the problem is at that location, right? And so imparting our skills and our experiences, and then sharing some of our stories about things that we've done in the real world, and then applying it to their life. A lot of civilian lives that don't necessarily have that, but applying those lessons learned that we learn in that little microcosm of this team building endurance challenge to the real world, right? And so how that you even manage your business inside of your civilian space. that can make you a better leader, because we'll designate leaders and assistant team leaders and navigators, and everybody
Great.
has to work hard and be a good leader but also a good follower. And so you put all these strangers together and they have to start working together, and we can apply all of those things that we take for granted really in the military.
Yeah, that's great, man. Hey, it's I'm in a natural leadership position, have probably been my whole life, been team captains of college athletic teams, blah, blah, blah. I like being the Indian every now and then. I get to learn from that other leader. I get to learn from that chief. You know what I mean? Like, all right. And, hey, I'm good at shutting up and listening. You know what I mean? It's one of the things, like, I see people egomistic, right, that can't do that. Like, hey, they got so stuck in that rut. I'm like, what can I learn from this leader? And I sit there and I will digest and be very, very fast to listen, slow to speak.
Yeah.
And, hey, I get to be the Indian. Mike, we need this task, sit there, wait for assignment. Sir, yes, sir. Make it really, really simple. And you can learn a lot from somebody just by sitting there and watching them lead. You come to my gym, you're going to see, hey, I got 2 coaches on the floor. One's training herself. The other one's training other individuals. I'm trying not to be overbearing and overshadowing. They know I'm in the room. They know I'm watching their performance and their evaluation of how they're helping other people. But for GoRucking, man, it's incredible stuff. And for civilians to go out there and get whatever you're in, whatever leader position that you're in, or if, hey, you've never been in a leadership position, this is your chance. You're going to go get a chance to go shine. You know what I mean? You're going to have, how many people are showing up? 12 to 25 people?
I mean, we had last weekend in New York City, we had 120 people show up.
Holy cow.
We have over 40 people complete 24-hour endurance challenge, 24, and then 12, and then 6-hour, basically. Give or take a couple hours here and there, but covering in that distance, like 36 miles, about 18 miles, and then about 6 miles, right?
Okay.
All under load, back to back to back. Friday night, starting at 6, going through the night, then starting the next one at 10 p.m. on Saturday, and then Sunday, right? And that many people that are coming out doing those kind of events, but coming from all walks of life, right? Some veterans, some firefighters, some just civilians straight out, right? Moms. And back to that, like, OG CrossFit thing is, back when we started, right? It was, hey, this is doing CrossFit to make you better at whatever you do, right? Better at your sport, better at fighting, better at being a police officer or a soldier, better at being a mom, right? As opposed to just competitive exercising, right? We love it. We love the competitive side of it because we're competitive guys, and it's an outlet, but not just to do competitive exercise. Well, this is now another avenue of that to make you a better leader, or just, like, man, just be a better person in general.
100%.
And so there's a ton of tie back into the community. For the first year that we were there, you had to do, with every single GoRuck event, you had to do a service project, right? And the whole thing was, hey, let's do something that's going to improve your community, right? Helping people, just people helping people, and if we can do more of that, you're going to have a better community.
Yeah. Beginner, someone who's never done a GoRuck. I know there's several different levels. I've actually got some F-15s flying over us right now. So, if you're a very beginner to GoRucking, where do we start? I know there's different levels of it. There's a GoRuck Lite. What's the difference, time duration between these ones?
So initially I would start off with some, whatever fitness level you're at, just training, get a little bit of load on your back. The beginner baseline level is called the GoRuck Lite, okay? It's a 5 to 7 hour challenge. Light does not equal easy, right?
Gotcha.
It's just kind of the mindset that we go into it with. We're still going to challenge, train, and then test you, right? Challenge, train, test. And that's kind of the avenue that I've applied to this. Is I'm going to lay forth a challenge. I'm going to train you, whatever we need to do. If you suck at push-ups, we might do some more upper body work because it's a fitness thing as well. But we're going to get you there with some of the techniques that we use in the military to motivate you a little bit more. And that might look like some bear crawls for 30 minutes or a distance, but that's just our training. Okay? All the way up to, like, hey, learning land nav skills and learning urban survival and firearms skills, right? There's all kinds of different events that we do inside of that, but the baseline, the introduction, is the GoRuck Lite, right?
Great. Now 5 to 7 hours. 5
to 7 hours, right? Now, if you've got a good level of fitness and you've been cranking out your under 5-minute Fran, and you can do a mile in under 8 minutes or so, and you're a stud, maybe jump right into the GoRuck Tough, right? Which is a 12 hour, and you're going to go anywhere from 15 to 20 miles. My first one was it was actually kind of ridiculous. So all the Cadre have to do a GoRuck event before we can Cadre, and my first one was in Raleigh, and we just got crushed all night long. We ended up walking out to this crash site, right, where the Cadre had hidden this Hurt Herman, which is basically like a 200-pound dummy, and a bunch of different stuff. And we finally found this guy, and we ended up, it was just a ball smoker of a night. We ended up going about 20 miles, and the next morning was the strongman competition in Raleigh, right? Dorton Arena with Lynn, and so I roll in, I'm smoked out of my mind, right? Like hadn't been walking that far, and Lynn's like, "Hey, do you mind being the MC for this?"
I remember that day.
And so if I was a little delirious and saying some stuff that like offended anybody, or I was just like out of it, that's probably why. But that was my introduction and my like slap hands from strongman to endurance, and now we do this.
Just a 20-miler right before.
It was seriously awful. I mean, these are hard. It's like fun with an asterisk, right? It's like type 2 type fun. But man, like you're out there, you're sweating, you're working hard with a team, and I missed that because I had 2 years out of the military where I didn't have that team environment, and so getting that back, even with a bunch of civilians or old people or chicks that were on the team, that kind of it fulfilled that teamwork side that I had missed from being on the ODA or 100%, being on the
100%. Yeah, so we're just at the transition. You literally just got done doing your first GoRuck Raleigh, 20 miles, and showing up. That was through the night, showing up Saturday morning to be the MC at a strongman event. I know Izzy got that last stone.
She did.
That?
Yeah.
That was an incredible moment. But, that brings us to, what year was that, 2 years ago? 17, 18?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so, with GoRuck, what do you do? What's your weekends look like? What does your week look like? How many of these are you doing a month, a year?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
Okay, so we've got events all over the world at this point. It started off, big cities, and then internationally. So what that looks like is basically for me, like I pick the weekends that I want to work, and I still like to have a life as well, and like I've kind of went from this transition of, all right, Dan, hey, we like to be a competitive athlete and go and try to win the battle of the borough, but at the end of the day, like you gotta make money, right? And so I'm very even when I was a kid, my dad would say, hey, well, if you score more than 10 points, for every point over that, I'll give you $5, right?
Yeah. Well, it's on.
That's on, right? I'm motivated, right? And so as I transition to it, I'm like, hey, well, I can walk and lead and teach and get paid, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And somebody just ran into my car, but that's okay. No, don't worry about it. It's all good. Hey, you're fine. It's paid off.
Unbelievable.
So anyways, so my thing is like, hey, well, I love leading and helping people, and I love fitness, right? So this was a perfect blend of, hey, all right, so I go on a weekend, travel into a city. This weekend I'm going to Cincinnati, Ohio, where I'm going to do the HTL, which is a heavy, tough, light, back-to-back event, right?
You're leading all three of those.
Yeah, so me and one other guy. So we get a little bit of downtime in between, but I'll be involved. Intimately involved.
Wow.
With training these guys up, and so I get a lot of different exposure. Fly in, run the event, come home, and we're good, right? And so started off doing like 2 a month, and then I was like, what? Like, hey, I like traveling, right? That was one thing in the military that we did a lot, and one of the reasons that I probably don't mind living in Fayetteville is that we're gone all the time. We're TDY, right? Yeah. Temporary duty and training, and so I love traveling. And so I've gotten, in the last 2 years of doing GoRuck, see more of America than I had ever seen before, and really like fly in, explore a city, and there's probably no better way to really learn a city than, hey, walk 20 miles, right? You're going to get to go see and research all the different landmarks, and then go see all these spots, right? And then try to hook it up to where you have sunrise with a coffee on a beautiful view somewhere, and really like share that experience with another group of great humans. And so I've kind of opened myself up to doing a bunch of these different events all over the place, and that's led to so many other cool opportunities just in the last 2 years, folks, that have just kind of led to the next awesome opportunity.
Wow. That's so how many of these are you doing a month?
Man, I have no problem doing 4 a month.
Okay.
Well, 3 a month, right? I like to take one down.
Weekend for yourself.
And like for myself, like I've just kind of changed the way that I look at my weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so, hey, if I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are my weekends, right? And,
definitely.
And so just like the mindset shift from, well, this is my weekend, right? Well, I'm not working it. I mean, if you got to do something, right?
Yeah.
And if this is where I'm fitting in, I have no problem with that. So yeah, I'll travel and make it a family trip. And instead of giving my daughter, a toy or going to the beach, well, hey, we're going to go to this new city and we're going to spend.
We're going to Cincinnati. We're going to explore it. We're going to check it out.
Took her to Dallas, Texas, and showed her where the X is at, where JFK was assassinated, right?
Yeah.
And now, if you ask her, she's 6, and she'll tell you, "Hey, what's in Dallas, Texas?" Well, JFK was shot out there, right?
Wow.
I've taken her all over the place, and for me and Izzy, like, we love traveling, we love seeing new things, and like eating good food, and it's been amazing.
That's a great experience, man.
Yeah, it's because it's all experiential, and so
you guys are moving to Morocco, right?
Yeah, that's the next
because
big move.
You're traveling on the weekends.
Yep.
With work.
Yep.
You're leading GoRucks on the weekend. Your Monday, Tuesdays, basically your Saturday, Sunday.
That's right.
You backtrack it. So, training week, you kind of got it set up. So you're going like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh yeah, I'm good for absolutely nothing on Monday, and then Tuesday I got a pretty good training session. By Wednesday, Thursday I'm fresh, and I need to not smoke myself too bad, so that like
so you can do it all over again on the weekend.
Right, and have high energy as it comes to that. But like, as I structure my training, well, I still want to be strong. I still want to look strong.
Yep.
And we still got to like be able to do stuff, but I'm still walking all these miles.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to blend that perfect balance of like being the hybrid athlete, right? So where you can, and that's how it all started with, Tony Cowden and Albert Steed back in the hybrid athlete mission days, where, hey, we want to be concurrently very, very strong, but able to go forever fast. Yeah. And so I love that, right? And you love that.
Love it.
And so as like, that's the operator mentality, right? If I hadn't met you and if I didn't know any better, I'd say, well, hey, yeah, Mike definitely did this, right? You did because your dad trained you to do that because he valued that.
It's in our blood. It's in our blood.
And so that's what we prioritize. And so I've kind of struck that balance.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it would talk about your week, and you're recovering on Monday, Tuesday, trying to get fresh, get the body back right. Leads us to your product, man.
Dang,
what do we got?
Perfect transition, Mike.
Yeah.
So, all right. So here's the deal. In 2010, a guy named Donnie Thompson came out, right?
Yeah, Donnie. It's great.
The GOAT. Donnie Thompson, for those that don't know, he's a powerlifter. A washed-up powerlifter out of South Carolina.
Full of knowledge.
Just unbelievable. If there's one dude that I've taken more quality cues and tips and things that people are like, oh my gosh, that actually works and makes sense, and I'm not getting injured. So Donnie, at 46 years old, hit a 3,000-pound powerlifting total, right? What that means, basically within 3 lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, his total for those 3 made lifts was 3,000 pounds, right? And so the way that he got there, and he preaches this, is not by drugs or more. It was finding a way to train smarter and improve your body, right? And so Donnie came out to CrossFit Fort Bragg with a guy that you may have heard of, Kelly Starrett.
Yep,
they came out.
Everyone should have.
Well, maybe.
Hopefully.
Right? He's kind of popular nowadays. So K-Star basically came in to do the Mobility WOD seminar with Donnie Thompson, right?
Wow.
And this was before they started carrying around these voodoo floss bands, right?
Yeah.
So basically a compression band that you're going to wrap around a joint or a piece of a part of your body that is going to cut off the circulation, essentially, right? Or cutting off the arterial flow. And you're tacking down your fascia and your muscle tissue, right? Well, that's doing a couple different things, and it's called voodoo floss because nobody really understands how it's working, right? Because humans, we know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know. And all we know is, hey, well, if we do a test and then we wrap this tight band around our ankle, we do these exercises, then we take it off, you're seeing a big difference, right? And so part of it is intermittent ischemia, right? So ischemia being a lack of blood flow. We're tourniqueting this area to our body, and then your body's building up, your heart is building up pressure behind it. And then when you take the band off, you're going to get a flush of fresh blood, right? Fresh nutrients. Circulation. You're increasing your circulation into a joint that wouldn't necessarily have it. So instead of just doing elevation and having gravity help you out, you're actually increasing that blood flow, right? You're flushing the good in simultaneously. Because of the compression, you're flushing the bad out, back into the lymph system, back to get reabsorbed by the body so you can excrete it. So you're pushing the swelling out of the joint or out of the tissue, forcing the fascia to lay in a straight line, and really setting yourself up for success for the trauma that you're about to do in the training. Great.
And how do you recommend people use this? Before training, after training, both?
So that's been the big question, right? And that's kind of the difference that I'm trying to set forth with this ruck wrap is the education piece, right? And so I break it down into two paths. You've got preparation, right? So we want to prepare better before every single training session. I'm never going to go for a run or a ruck without wrapping up my ankles, right? Because every single step you take, every squat you do, you're putting load on your ankle. And if it's not right, you're setting yourself up for a blown out something up the chain, right? Knee issues, hip issues, quad tears, Achilles bursting out on a box jump.
You name it.
Whatever the injury is. But if you're not preparing properly, you're just delaying the inevitable, which is an injury. Okay? And so preparation is huge. Okay. Then performance, right? And so the performance side is actually using these bands to strengthen up small muscles inside of your body. So, things that you are going to miss out on what's written out in your program, whoever you're programming is got by. Everybody's got different weaknesses and different areas that need to be strengthened up a little bit more than others. So that's part of the conjugate system, is using small exercises to get load on the things that need to be brought up. And so, before exercise, during, right? I've done, at this point, 135 GoRuck events, right? And in a bunch of those, people start, breaking down. 10 miles in, I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and less than a mile in, dude steps in a pothole, right? Rolls his ankle. Super bad. Immediately he's down for the count. Tough little dude. He's an obstacle course race runner. He's a hardcore little guy. Anybody can step in an ankle, step in a pothole and roll their ankle. Immediately, one of the other participants who I taught wrapping it up to, immediately said, "Oh, hey, DS, I've got a band. Let's wrap it up." Right? Immediately wrapped his ankle up, fixed the sprain, right? Because you're putting compression on it. The swelling's not able to blow that thing up, and he's able to have the support. So during a competition, right? And he actually finished the entire event, which was, speaks to what it can do for you during. Another little side story. So I was running. So on my transition out of story time with DS.
Okay? Yeah, go for it.
All right. So as we transition out of powerlifting, or strongman powerlifting, and just being a meathead bro, which is so much fun. I got the opportunity to go out to Iceland and run in the Spartan Ultra, which is basically, if you've heard of Spartan race, obstacle course races, and they came out with this new event, which is an ultra. Okay, 24 hours, as many times as you can around this 7-mile loop, and it just so happened to be in Iceland. Well, if you ever get a chance to go to Iceland, just make sure you bring enough money, because it's extremely expensive. Like not even fun expensive, but beautiful people, right? Great food, cool environment. And so I was like, hey, well, I got to train up for that. I'm not going to be the weakest link on the team. So I started crushing it, and dove super deep into the endurance realm. And so we were on our 5th lap, and I started getting some hamstring pain, because we had been up and over hills and obstacles, and it was snowy and icy the whole time, and I'd split.
keep going. We got 1 minute on that one.
Okay, perfect. So immediately felt some pain, decided, hey, all right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. So I stopped, wrapped it up real tight, kept running. About 90 seconds later, you need to take it off and remove the band. The pain's totally gone.
Great.
And so you're improving your tissues as you're in an event, right?
Yeah. That's incredible. The way I like to use it, in CrossFit or in Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, before I squat, like to compress my quads and smash.
Sure.
So Donnie Thompson talks about it all the time.
Tourniquet tempering.
Yep.
There you
So
go.
I'm using a tapering tool, whatever that might look like. Heavy piece of steel, compressing the quad with the voodoo floss, and then going in there and smashing it. So pretty awesome stuff.